All right, so people always ask me for communication tips that will help their partner actually listen to their concerns and feelings instead of getting defensive or shutting down or exploding in some way. And I feel like this is a great opportunity to remind all of us that we aren't responsible for other people's destructive reactions. If they explode or call you names or counter blame, believe it or not, that's a them problem. You cannot reason someone out of their own dysfunction. You can't heal someone who doesn't want to participate in their own healing. You can't serve someone out of their self-centeredness, and you cannot love someone out of their own shame. Remember, when you try to save a drowning person, the number one threat is them pulling you down with them. So how do we prevent all this? By getting extremely clear on what's our responsibility and what's theirs. Our responsibility is to be honest and vulnerable and kind and respectful and emotionally mature-ish. And when we feel disrespected or rejected or abandoned, we find the courage to tell them without blame or criticism or passive aggressiveness. We own our feelings and we just state the facts. When you called me crazy during our last conflict, it made me feel very disrespected. Please don't do that anymore. That's part one of our job. Part two of our job is understanding that them interrupting you, or shame spiraling, or counter-blaming, or getting defensive, or dismissing your feelings and saying, nothing I do will ever be good enough for you. Why do I even try? Or you do that to me all the time and I never complain. You always make me the enemy. You're too sensitive. Plus, I didn't say that anyways. Your feelings aren't my problem. All that junk. Most people just label it as narcissism. But really, it's pride. It's emotional immaturity. It's the inability to emotionally self-regulate after being triggered. And it's defaulting to destructive coping mechanisms. And most importantly, it's not your responsibility. Stop blaming yourself and constantly questioning yourself. They don't lash out because you didn't ask them nicely enough to stop hurting you. It's because hurt people hurt people. And the quicker you realize that, the quicker you can evaluate, am I with someone who is even capable of meeting my legitimate relational needs? Because you're not too needy for wanting someone to care when you're hurt, or respect you during a conflict, or to express their love for you through consistent words and actions, or someone that wants you to feel safe and valued and prioritized. In today's world, that's seen as going above and beyond, but it's not. It's the bare minimum of love. If you're married and you can't have safe talks with your partner, that's an automatic trip to the counselor. And if you're dating and someone calls you too needy, as hurtful as that feels, it's actually not a bad thing, because they're telling you right now, I'm not planning on meeting your needs. And I'm not going to counseling with you either, because you're the one that has the problem. So at that point, you have two options. You can believe that you're a deeply flawed individual who doesn't really deserve to be understood or validated, and that you're crazy for expecting the bare minimum levels of consideration and reciprocation from someone who says they love you. Or they have no desire to learn about or practice emotional maturity, or empathy, or intimacy, or shared power, or mutual respect, or sacrificial love. Which one have you been believing? Because it might be time to reevaluate.